Evening, Mia Gradney and Lynn Cannon, along with Pat Kaplan in the KHOU 11 newsroom with some breaking news of a different type, not related to the weather here in Houston, but a plane carrying 8 people has crashed during takeoff from the Bangor International Airport. That's in Maine, about 2 hours south of Portland, Maine. Now, according to a statement from the Federal Aviation Administration, 8 people were on board this plane. That plane was registered to an LLC, a limited liability corporation in Houston. Again, that plane crashed around 6:45 tonight at the airport in Bangor, Maine.
Again, because it is based in Houston, it got our attention. Pat Kaplan here. Pat, you're a pilot. You listen to air traffic control audio. Kind of break down what you are hearing tonight.
Yeah, so it looks like the plane took off just before 7:45 Eastern time. Okay, so we're talking now about just over 2 hours ago. And this plane was headed for Houston. The plane was taking off in poor weather conditions. Okay, so the weather they're seeing up in Maine is very similar to the weather that we've had across Texas. It's the same storm system that stretched from Texas all the way into the Northeast. Really heavy snow up there. At the time of takeoff, winds were about 10 miles per hour, so it was not an overly windy period. Visibility wasn't great, but it was good enough that they could take off. It was at least a mile down the runway, so they had full visibility of the runway. And what you're looking at right now is an image. I believe we had gotten this from one of our affiliates up there, and you could see the smoke, and you could see the visibility is not great, right? So there are the terminal buildings in the background, and you can see the smoke rising up there. So it looks like this crash actually may have happened on the airfield. I've seen another photo of this crash on social media.
And how does it look?
And I think we're working to get that photo. The plane is totally upside down. Remember back to when that the Delta Connection flight crashed in Canada last year, and the whole thing ended up on its head. That's exactly how this looked.
So I know you know planes very well because you fly. Any idea, at least in what you've seen from air traffic control, what type of plane it was? I mean, we know 8 people were on board. I just assume that this is a smaller aircraft that we're talking about, but I'll let you work through and see if you can find that out.
So it was a Bombardier Challenger Jet 600. This is a small to medium-sized private jet. And I'm trying to look up what the capacity for this is. It's about 8 to 12 people.
So they had 8 people on board, and now as of now, we do not know the condition of the people on board. We don't know anything about who these folks are and what happened and how it happened. But of course, since it appears that the plane originated here in Houston, then that's why we're trying to nail down, okay, who could this be? What company could it be related to here in Houston?
So we do know the plane. We know information about the plane, not the people on board, but the plane itself was registered to an LLC, a limited liability corporation in Houston. And again, that's one reason why we're bringing this story to you. Of course, it is a plane crash, and we also know that weather is a big concern across the country as well. It's very early. We don't know what is the cause here, what contributed to this plane crashing, but definitely worth us reporting and bringing you the latest information.
Absolutely. I'm reminded of just not that long ago of the crash in Galveston Bay with another plane. Of course, fog was very heavy, and we know what happened there. So we'll have to wait and see, waiting on details, perhaps even a news conference sometime this evening to learn exactly what the condition is of the people on board, make sure that there are survivors, and who they are.
And we can only hope so that there are survivors in this.
Yeah, especially based on that photo. So to back up what I was saying about the photo I've seen on social media, the plane upside down, some of the ATC recordings, and we're working to clip those for you, but I have some of them written out here.
Air traffic control, by the way, if people aren't familiar.
Yeah, air traffic control recordings. Someone actually got on the radio and said, aircraft is upside down. And then comes back on again a few seconds later, says aircraft is upside, we have a passenger aircraft upside down. And then a couple seconds later, the air traffic controller gets on the frequency and says the airport's closed. Okay, so we have actual confirmation via audio and also the photo that's floating around. We're trying to get permission to use that on air of this plane. Somehow ended up upside down on the field. And so a lot of questions about that. Was it a mechanical issue that just happened to coincide with bad weather, or was weather a factor? I could say as a pilot, weather probably did have some sort of contribution to this accident, but whether or not it was the actual cause remains to be seen. Again, this was a Challenger jet, a Challenger 650 jet These usually hold about 8 to 12 people. The ATC recording also the crash response team asked Air Traffic Control, ATC, if they knew how many souls were on board. Took ATC a couple minutes to respond back, but they said, we don't have an exact number, but they know 3 crew and possibly 5 passengers. So that verifies what we're hearing, reports of 8 people on board. They said the FBO, the Flight Bureau Office, is going to get back to us with the total number.
Got it.
So still a very fluid situation still.
Absolutely, and we're going to stay on top of it for you, see what other information we can find out from Maine and also the FAA. We'll have much more coming up in a live report on KHOU 11 News at 10. We'll see you then.